Start us off. What are we doing here, Marky boy?
Well, we're looking at one of a great game that unfortunately is dead at the moment. Servers are shut down, but had probably one of the best card games I've ever played, and has some of the best pixel art I've ever seen. So yeah, we're just going through it over time. We're going to go through our favourite cards for each faction and stuff, and today we're going to look at the neutral faction and have a look, see what our favourite cards are for this. And God, there's a fuck ton of them. So
yeah, I just saw another one that I'm like, how the fuck did I leave this off my list?
Yeah, I know. Like even just stuff that like. So the list is like favorite cards, which could include like the way they look, their gameplay, if they have a certain strategy that evolves around them, and stuff. Why am I all the way up there? Let me bring myself down. Webcam. Yoink. There we go. So yeah, we're just having a look at this at the moment. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what our favourite cards are. Good trip down memory lane.
10 each, right?
Yep. Did you want to start?
I'm more than happy to start. I'm going to start with probably one of the most utility-ridden cards that I think popped in most of my decks, and we're going to start off with the Bloodtear Alchemist. So This seems like it's really high, but we're not in an actual order here, so I'm.
Oh, you're not doing order, okay?
No, I'm alphabetical order, maybe. I don't know. I'm just picking off the.
Fair enough, yeah.
All right, so, but I mean, to be fair, if this was in order, this would be pretty high up. This is probably one of the most useful cards that you can get. It's a 1-drop. That's a 2/1. And opening gambit, deal 1 damage to an enemy. Now this is fantastic. So one of the key things that people like to do, especially in the early game, is have these 3 health monsters where your hero couldn't kill them in 1 hit, so they stay on the board. They sort of stay a bit sticky, but this is a combo card that can really make sure that you're removing stuff off the board in terms of that. Can counter those early 3 drops with your hero, but then it also does other lovely things, especially during the leagues of Jaxi, where it spawns a 1/1 range unit in the corner of your map. Play a Bloodtear, get rid of that, move on with life. And the stats are also. It can get removed by, another the opponent's Bloodtear Alchemist. Yeah, good on them. They've just wasted opening gambit of 1 damage on a 1 health minion.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's your unit has already served its purpose if you're eliminating another unit off the board, and especially when you're moving 3 health minions, or even just like 1 health minions, or even just finishing off anything. Value's there, and then you have to, and if you don't deal with it with like a Bloodtear or anything like that, you have to cop 2 damage from it somehow.
Yeah.
If this is a 1/2, I don't think it would have been played as much, but because it's 2/1, like face damage, it's just 2. It's already more brutal than it needs to be for 1 mana. It probably is one of the most valued 1 mana drops in it, and it's. When we used to build decks, you had a certain number of neutrals that you would most likely have in your deck 80% of the time, and this is one of those. Yeah. It's just really, really useful.
How's this for balance changes? When it was originally added, 2 mana, 2/1, and it only did damage to a minion in front of itself. And then they changed it to deal 1 damage to any minion, and then they reduced it to 1 mana. And they allowed it to attack a general. Holy shit, do they buff the fuck out of this?
Wow, that is a massive buff. Holy crap.
Because I
didn't know about that.
Because I remember back in the days, Jaxi was a big one in that a lot of people complained about it, and a lot of people said the minion's fine, maybe a bit too strong, but it just doesn't have the counters yet. And this is like, when this thing was changed, this is what we're talking about, counters. All of a sudden, anything like a Jaxi, which is like a 1/1 with ranged, all your Heart Seekers, anything like that, this guy can just take out.
Really useful.
Yeah, like you said, your general does 2 damage. So this guy literally means that he can You could use this to wipe out any 3 health minion on when you have a chance.
No,
Yeah, he's awesome.
Really useful. I think that's a good start. In fact, it's probably actually quite high up there.
Yeah, telling me.
All right, honey, you can do your first one now.
So we got him down. So now mine. What's mine? This one I didn't use very often, but I absolutely love this unit. It's fucking sweet. Whenever I had an opportunity to put this in my list, it was fucking sweet. What?
All right, where we going?
Where is it? Grove. The Grove Lion.
Grove Lion.
I didn't get to see this thing very much, but this thing was awesome. Like, basically, at the start of every turn, your general would get a force field.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, this thing was sweet.
Actually,
very good in.
I was wondering whether to do that too. It was a very neat thing, but
yeah.
Given you used to love playing the Vitruvian girl with weaponed up, what's her name?
Oh, her banner, yeah.
Yeah.
Like anyone that, and like this was actually made by a but I forgot who made it, but the design wasn't actually by the company. So if we look here, so the Grove Lion and the Owlbeast were made by different people. Penny Arcade made this card. Like, how fucking cool does that look?
Whoa. Okay.
So yeah, that always stuck with me. But yeah, that thing was sweet, and I think it had some pretty good attack animation. So yeah, it was really good in Gauntlet. Like, look at that attack animation.
Yeah, Gauntlet where there's not a lot of counters. That's that would have been amazing.
So yeah, it's not much more to say about. Like, there were a few cards that I really loved that I wish I could have played more of, but they just weren't. They were good in mid-tier decks, but a lot of the time, as decks became more focused, cards like this kind of missed out. But this is why I love Gauntlet so much. If you got this guy in Gauntlet, it was strong, because all of a sudden, you had to fight. This is where Bloodtear is good. Bloodtear can get rid of your force fields, but still, you still need to deal with a 5/5. I always thought this thing had force field itself. It turns out it doesn't. But
no, it's just on the general, wasn't it? Yep.
Yeah, interactions. If the Grove Lion dies at the same time as the general is hit, the force field still activates. But yeah, no, I think it was a really sweet card. It's like, not much more, 6 cost. But out of all of the cards which I wish I could put into decks, this one found its way into the most because it was always useful. Like, it shut down burn a fair bit as well. History.
I mean, force field was always a pretty brutal mechanic.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the deck to, like, you know, instantly remove the Grove Lion, I think that was probably why you didn't see heaps of it. Like 6 mana.
Yeah.
You know, 6 mana 5/5. You know, and then someone could just cost a 2 mana to spell, or
yeah, removal was very strong in this game. But
so that was probably the only issue with it. But if you managed to get it out and there was no answer, then your general was like, you know, in an attacking position with maybe a weapon, it could just go nuts.
Yeah, like, not every card has to be good construction wise. Gauntlet's still pretty fucking sweet. I don't know why that won't do. It doesn't matter. Alright, so next one.
Probably one of my favourite cards that I probably only pulled off maybe twice or 3 times.
Oh, I think I know it.
The Grail Master.
Oh, this fucker, yeah.
And trust me, I probably tried a lot to make this actually work. I mean, the design was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's in the realm of the Grove Master, a card that you want to play but you can never find a spot for. But at least this guy's more of a win condition though.
And if, like, 7 mana, 6/6, you know, so you're paying a hefty price for it. But whenever you summon a minion, this minion gains a random keyword ability. So if you had 3 token 1 mana creatures that you could put on the board, all of a sudden it would have three keyword abilities. And we're talking, the flying, force field, range. If this thing got range, a 6/6 sitting at range with flying, so it can dodge everything.
Oh yeah.
Celerity if you're lucky. Force field.
Now here they here. Flying, so it can go through can move to any tile at once. Frenzy, so when it attacked, everyone in that's around it gets hit. Celerity, so it can move and attack twice. Provoke, so it prevents anyone else from moving away from it or attacking anyone else if it's next to it. And ranged, which can attack anywhere from the board. So some of those don't really line up well together, but they're all pretty good. If you get celerity range, that's fucked.
Yeah, if you got celerity, range, and flying, that was the three that you needed. And as long as removal wasn't used, or if you had other threats that they had to deal with, this thing could just freely 6 damage poke like a beast. It's just great. I mean, look, it was very memey. But I think getting it off I got off once. And it was just an absolute machine gun from the other side of the board, just clearing everything that the other person put out. And it was just hilarious.
Well, they're saying there's multiple ways to do it. If you get it down, like obviously it needs to survive one turn and not get dispelled, but like Wraithling Swarm, Star's Fury, Gravity Wells, there are ways to buff the shit out of it. Like as long as you have to have a token deck though.
Yeah, you just have to just pray to the fact that they've either used enough to spell or removal to, not make it a threat, which is pretty hard because, each deck was going to have a shitload of those in it regardless, or just, two Phoenix Fires, just to get rid of it, whatever they're going to use. But if it survived and it got a couple of those keywords. You had fun.
He was. As a finisher, he was pretty decent. Nothing wrong with him.
I just love the look of him, and he just had that. It's just that card that you just like. I want to make this work.
Yeah,
and I got to work a couple of times. I was very happy.
Yeah, I've had a few cards like that. I wish I could get to work. Oh well. And he was cool. I remember Grail. All right, so who have I got next? Oh, talking about one of the original finishers from back in the day, Mr. Jax Truesight himself.
Oh, you got him on your list. Oh, I thought so.
I don't think he just stands out. He's such a fucking weird unit. Like, so he's a 1/1. But when you with range, so you can attack anywhere.
6 mana 1/1.
Yeah, but then he summons fucking minions on each little Jaxies on each corner of the board. Do I have a mini Jax? Where are mini Jaxes? Mini Jax, yeah.
The funny thing was, I reckon every game I watched, especially in the early run of Duelyst, everyone had a Jax Truesight in their deck.
Yeah, back in the early days, there wasn't much Air of Effect. The only ones I could really think of is you got maybe Lionar's Consecration, and I don't know, maybe Songhai had one, and there was
Songhai had a one damage one.
One damage one, and I guess even Magma had some. But you could bait those out, and then if you got this down...
They were there, but they either were sort of mid-tier, maybe include them, but they were high priorities.
So the issue, the big one with this was, you mainly saw that in the early days, you still see it, not as much, but in the early days, Vanna used to play this a lot. They had a card called Razorback. So when he put down, he gave everything +2 damage that turn. So if you got all your Truesights to survive, they're doing 3 damage each. Which, if all of them survived, that's like 5 times 3 is 15 damage. Now that's best case scenario. Chances are they're just going to surrender as soon as they can't handle as soon as the Razorback comes down. But it would also force everyone would be... It's just funny, you play it and everyone scatters trying trying to each corner, trying to knock out as many of these little mini Jaxes as possible. But yeah, he kind of disappeared after a while because a lot more Air of Effect was added. So he kind of disappeared. But like, he's still a huge threat. If you put him down, there's still a lot of buffs in the game. Like, he's not a case. He didn't fall out of favor so much as that he was useless. But people were better prepared to handle him.
I think the one card that did come in that basically countered it pretty hard was Blistering Scorn.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the end of Jax Truesight appearing in every deck.
Yeah, because the thing was, before that card, Vanna had no ranged, what's the word for it? Had no, no Air of Effect. So whoever got to the 6 mana first got their Jax Truesight out first and had the advantage the entire game. It was fun. I hated the mirror matchup in Banner back then. It was basically just play Jax Truesight first and win the game. It was similar in Shadowverse, where whoever got their Heavenly Aegis out first won the game because you couldn't deal with it. They always got to attack first. Like, it's one of those things. It's like but as I said, more counters were added, like with the Bloodtear Alchemist and stuff like that. More counters got added later, so stuff with 1 HP kind of fell out because all of a sudden, like, you could play like, let's say you're up against Abyssinian. Back in the old days, yeah, Abyssinian would struggle to remove a Truesight, but then nowadays they can be like Bloodtear, Abyssal Scar from the General. Demonic Lure and then like Spear of Darkness, and they'll wipe out half them and benefit from it. But he's still good. Like I said, I was still playing this card to the very end. He wasn't the worst, and there were plenty of buffs for him.
Well, I mean, he still had value in the fact that if you didn't have the direct counter to kill all of them in one hit with one spell, or a Blistering Scorn, you had to either split your army up, which is never ideal, or use a lot of single removal like Demonic Lures, Chromatic Colds. You know, that they're cheap, but they're a limited resource in your deck that you might want to use.
There's still 5 targets you have to deal with.
You know, and you're either having to kill them, dispel them, or just remove them with your stuff, and then, you know, it can be a real issue. Otherwise, you know, you're hoping that they don't have any buffs and you can tank them. Until you can get there. At most, if you're properly set up, you could probably remove 2, maybe 3 normally.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of the map with no minions, then you may as well just kiss
goodbye. Just pray they don't have... If you're up against a Vanna, you probably know what's coming next. Mm-hmm. If anyone else, then you're just going to... Only if it's like Songhai, I'm just assuming you're going to get a B and fucking killing edges on it. But yeah, Vanna was the main user of this, but... All the that's not even true. Songhai still had the archer.
Death Strike Seal, Mark. Death Strike Seal.
Songhai can still buff the fuck out of him with that archer. Yeah. So no, there was plenty of decks this could go into. You know, it's probably one of the more unique looking characters. I love the glowing on it as well. It was a cool looking unit. Just really weird. There are some characters you look at and go, why is the character from Tron in the game? And it's just really weird. But yeah, I like it. Yeah, he was cool.
And look, it's understandable that they had to get counters in it, especially with, like, you know, every deck used to have 3 Jaxies and then Jax Truesight in their deck.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, this game's starting to get a little boring.
Oh, yeah. You know, Jaxie had to get...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jaxie ended up having to get nerfed for good reason, though. Like, even going from 2-2, like, at the end of the day, it's still 2-2 worth of stats plus range. So, I think its stats are... Like, it could be a 2-2, and you say it's a very strong creature. But yeah, I think it was best that it was put down to a 1-1. Actually, to be fair, it doesn't really make much difference. Even a 2-1, it wouldn't have made much. But yeah, they were cool. Both those cards were pretty sweet. Alright. Next one for you.
All right, my one. Let's go with Dancing Blades.
Okay, well, this is on my list as well, so
that's all right. We can.
So I just put an extra card in, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, well, yeah, just find another one to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was this thing amazing? And one of those ones that depending on your deck archetype, if you needed neutral fillers, this was going to be one of the ones you threw in.
Oh, he was cool.
Now this has a beautiful connotation to it. If you play it wrong, you don't get the full benefit of it.
Oh, fuck! You can actually hurt your own units.
Yeah, and so you just got to just make sure that you're knowing which way your units are facing. But mate, 5 mana, 4/6, opening gambit does 3 damage to any minion in front of this. That was like. Given how good provoke units are in this game, this was anti-provoke in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like anything, like you're talking. I think they had to buff Primus Shieldmaster. Oh no, did Primus Shieldmaster have six?
They had
health
6
all the
health.
time? Oh, okay.
There's a lot of stuff that. A lot of stuff
I
that
thought I had
does.
5, but yeah, but like it's between this and your general, you can clear 5 health minions with ease, which can be a fair decent. Token unit on the board.
There's a lot of 3 health units that were decent.
Yeah, and it was just really good. Like you're either essentially removing or preparing to remove something off with decent stats.
Yeah.
And it could be the difference of you having to use your general to remove something and cop the hit, or do it without any risk. And then you're left with a unit that's a 4/6.
Yeah.
Which is freaking nice stats, especially for a 5 mana
Yeah.
drop. Like,
That's pretty
nice stats.
Look at this gauntlet strategy. While less common now due to the addition of Shimza, expect almost every deck above 8 wins to have a copy.
Yeah. Really, really powerful, and just really useful. Just seemed to always come in at the right time, mid game that you needed, and just helps with balancing your resources in terms of your other removal and stuff like that, and just being able to do 3 damage out of the blue and then put a 4/6 on the board is just really useful, and it takes a punishment. That's probably like it doesn't have provoke, but trust me. The enemy isn't ignoring this thing. They have to deal with this.
4 damage is a lot.
It deals 4 damage, and it takes 6. It's just, loved it. Really, really good unit.
It's one of the good units in that it actually enforces good positioning. Like, if you position your minions wrong, this guy will come in and just fucking kill them instantly. Like, there'd be times where you'd just be like on autopilot, and this guy will come down, kill your 3 health minion, you'd be like, fuck me. And it does its damage straight up. And then you can't dispel it. A lot of the creatures in this game you can dispel and you're like, the threat is over. This guy doesn't. Probably the highest damage removal spell is like 4 damage. So you
probably the Songhai Tornado that does 8.
Oh, no one's aiming at it at a minion.
Hey, sometimes you have to. sometimes you have to if you can't kill the general. Yeah. You have to get rid of a big minion. Like,
even like Dark Transformation is 5 mana, so that's... So a lot of... Even if you remove it, it could be just a 1-for-1 trade. No, or 2-for-1 trade. Like, you could punish it.
You're pretty much getting rid of like-for-like mana-wise, but still at least doing 3 damage up front.
Because I'm trying to think, if there are 3 mana units that could deal 4 damage, then allow your general to come in, but your general still... But that's still... You're either losing 2 units to kill this guy, or your general's going to take 4 damage, or you're going to have to use a spell as well. It took a bit of a beating. But he was cool. Like I said, there were ways around. If you could protect your minions pretty easily, aka don't put them in a position where it's going to hit them. Especially if you're behind the opponent. As it says, the player 1 will always face right, and player 2 always faces left. So you can get into a stage where, it'd be harder to use the Dancing Blades, but he was cool. It's probably the single best fucking gauntlet creature you can get, especially for a fucking common. If you're a budget player, this thing is amazing. I just saw that. That's amazing. It's a common, and it had a really cool attack animation too. Yeah.
But like, I think it uses even its own body to slash down and stuff. It's so good.
But yeah, the animations are here. Where is it? So yeah, attack.
Yeah, it uses all
Oh,
five swords.
I just realised. So its
body.
actual body is the sword itself as well.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I didn't notice that.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Sword and Shield in Pokemon. We'll go and steal the design for later. Alright. Blistering Scorn.
Oh.
Man, this guy was a fucking heaven sent. Because as I said, there wasn't enough air of effect in the game at this stage, and this guy came along as a common. And don't be fooled. That's not a 4/5. That is literally a 4. That is a 4/4. It even hurts itself when it comes in. So unless you can heal it, you've got to be wary.
I forgot about that.
Even Punish will hurt. So yeah.
When did this come in again? I can't remember. Did it come in with a couple other cards?
It might have, yeah. Back in the day, they used to release 4 cards every month, but they ended up stopping that because they ran out of ideas that they could sell.
What was it? It used to be... I'm pretty sure... Yeah, so it used to be a 3-mana 3/4, and it got changed to a 4-mana 4/5.
Yeah,
so it was absolutely necessary. 3-mana 3/4 deals 1 damage to everything.
Oh,
that was essentially, it's in every deck regardless of what you're building.
Yeah.
Even if you've got Jax Truesight in it yourself, you're still putting this thing in your deck. It just was like just value. Like if you're thinking Bloodtear Alchemist was really good just for doing 1 damage to one thing, this thing's doing 1 damage to a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can get rid of a lot of 1/1s.
Look at all this stuff. 1 health minions. Abyssal Crawler, Bloodtear Alchemist, Flame Blood Warlock, Wraithlings. All of those are really fucking good. And they're everywhere.
And you see that a lot. Like you feel like Abyssian players would have had a heart attack, especially when this was a 3-mana 3/4. Like Wraithlings are their blood thing, but you can counter it a little bit if you have an early Shadow Watcher or something like that out there. But
like this thing,
I think someone still did that to me, and I got a Shadow Watcher up to like 12.
Oh no, that's dumb of them.
Cool. That was stupid.
Holy shit. But like, as the game went on, like, he's not in every deck, but he's still, you can fit him into anything. He's also good for like, just doing that 1 extra damage you need to finish something off. So you can even just use him as removal when he comes in. Like, it could be like a 4/1 that, a lot of people trade stuff and be like, okay, I've killed your minion, I'm on 1 health, your general or another minion will have to die to kill it. And you're like, okay, we'll just play this and you kill it. So it's pretty decent, but there were counters to this. Like looking at here, interaction, Soulburn Obelisk will kill the Scorn, because anything that hits the Soulburn Obelisk dies. You had like Battle Pando, where it will deal 1 damage to everything when it takes damage. There's a few there were a few things that if they took damage, they would have effects activate. So yeah. So when those came along, he was a little bit less useful, but no, he's still really strong.
He just came in at a right time. Like when he came out, he was just like, this is what we needed, and it was the right cost. And then it was like, okay, well, everyone's putting this in, and the other stuff's now unusable, so they changed him.
They made him cost. They didn't really buff or nerf him. They just changed him to allow you more time to like prepare for him. So if you've got cards out,
it would just be like yeah, because a lot of the times it just meant like you would play him on turn 3 regardless. If he was in your hand turn 3, you'd be playing him because he was removing a lot of. There would be a lot of low cost, or it brings things down to a degree where your hero could kill them or whatever, and it's hitting other stuff, and it's just that trickle down economics in terms of it's just dealing damage, and if they've got 4 creatures out there and you're doing 1 damage each of them, that's 4 damage when it's coming in. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But yeah, and also it's a difference between you having all your Wraithlings wiped out and you having a Blood Moon Priestess out so you get them all back again. That type of thing as well. God, this is the smoke animation coming off this card. Fuck, this card was cool.
Well, what's the magic card that I can't see? Oh, my skull.
All right, now this one hardly ever got play. But whenever I used it, people removed it instantly, and it has good reason because it's Sleeper got some funny. It's got a funny, weird utility in it. We're gonna look up Moebius.
Oh, this one. It's Morbin time.
This is by far probably my favorite card out of everything. It is a
Moebius.
Weird design, and it is
what the fuck was this
weirdest thing ever. At the start of your turn, fully heal the minion and switch its attack and health.
I love how seeing you attack with this was worthy of being in the highlights video.
Yeah, because you play it and it without a shadow of a doubt, it was removed instantly, and removed in its entirety. Because if you leave this with 1 health, it was getting healed next turn, and it was coming to attack you as a 5/3.
Oh, what the fuck is this attack animation? It turns into something. What the fuck? God, that's a weird. Talk about Jax Truesight being a weird unit. What the fuck is this thing? Oh, what the Moebius doesn't trigger Lionel's healing effects. That's weird. But reducing a blind spot.
Yeah, because it was a weird.
Sounds like
way
a bug
of doing it. No, I think it was more just the way it worked. Because it probably did the switch, and the switch would just like reset rather than heal.
So it comes down with more health, so it survives, and then it switches so you have more attack to deal damage with.
Mm-hmm. So look, it wasn't ultra popular, but
it's pretty funny though.
I just loved it. Like if this wasn't touched, this thing as a 4-mana card was removing some big stuff, or at least like, you know, you could attack something that was like a 2/5 or whatever. You're killing it, and you're getting healed the next turn. And sorry, it's only at the start of your turn. But it's just a case of it was just. I liked it. It was one of my favorite cards.
They had some really good design choices. That thing is pretty fun. Like, you remember that. Now that I remember that, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's just one of those cars. It's really unique, really niche. Hardly ever got played, but if you ever saw it, it was getting dealt with regardless because no one wanted to deal with that shit.
Yeah,
anyway, that was my weird little Moebius.
Yeah, as I said, Grove Lion is me for that.
Yeah,
but that was a little bit easier to make work.
Yeah, true that.
Oh man, was this guy infamous when he was first released? Holy shit. Keeper of the Vale.
Oh god.
So
I couldn't wait. I think when I finally got him, because we were free to play. He just went in every deck instantly. To talk about value, Jesus Christ.
So when this guy first came in, where is he? It was a 4/5, which meant that basically nothing could trade into it. Like your typical 4-drop was 4 damage, so this thing would survive. And this thing was in every deck, and there were even. I'll talk about that a bit later, but so they end up nerfing this because it was stupidly fucking strong.
It didn't take them long to nerf it. Look at this, 0.550 was added in, and 0.59 it was stats changed.
Oh boy, yeah. I don't know how many patches between that, but yeah, decent. This thing's looks cool. It has cool animations. It even had a black chroma version, which was pretty sweet. And you had some really cool decks. You could even just play this in a regular deck and still get value out of it. But there were people that would play no early game minions and then just play really strong stuff so they would be guaranteed to get back stuff. I remember someone whose first minion dropped was an Ironcliff Guardian. And I killed it, and Keeper of the Vale comes down and brings it back again. So
that's that's ballsy to hold out until that, but if you can hold out pretty well, that's pretty insane.
But just stuff like that, and obviously, and you can build your deck around it. There are obviously, if you get back a opening Gambit unit, you're not going to get value. But if you get something with a Death, was it Death Watch or what? Not Death Watch.
Death Rattle, the Death Rattle.
Yeah, the Death Rattle type thing. effect or something that's sweet. Like, I remember casting this in my Golem deck, and I got a Dream Shaper that activated its Bond effect and got me 2 more cards. I had too many cards and I burned half of them, but still, the fact it happened. But yeah, this guy's really sweet. It's pretty much, yeah. So, and it's non-token as well, which is pretty sweet. So you're not going to have a shitty... You don't get punished for playing a token deck. So the token generator can get revived and you can start at it. So yes, as soon as a non-token dies, it goes to the pool. So it can actually bring back the same minion several times over. So yeah, so you can do a lot of deck building with this. So you might put in less minions into your deck and get stronger ones and rely mainly on like maybe spell effects. Keeper will not bring back minions that have been transformed into a token, like Dark Transformation. Whoa, Reaver's Battleborn power do not count as tokens. Okay, so...
Well, Heartseekers were an actual unit, so...
Oh, but she's cast them via her Bloodborne spell, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but the unit itself was probably not considered a token.
Rush minions brought back by Keeper of the Vale can still attack the same turn.
Oh yeah, Saber Spines, getting Saber Spines out of it. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't remember what the standard stats for five drops is in the game. But you know, you're still just getting another body out, and another body is taking a hit from something or other, either to die or be removed. So it's still going to get. I mean, look, if you're unlucky and you've got like a Bloodtear Alchemist and you can't use its opening gambit as a 2/1. Well, you know that's a lovely life of RNG that you just cop.
But you take those chances. But yeah, it's a really sweet unit. Like as a 5, is it 5 drop? It's decent. But I'd say it's good. You can put it in any deck, and you can even just build your deck around it. Like there's strategies here, but they're saying you can either like go for like all rush minions. So you just build your entire deck full of rush minions and then play him and you can get them back. Or you can go for big units. Just get Grovelion, Ironcliffe Guardians and just keep spamming. How fucked would that be? So if you're playing nothing but rush minions, like Saber Spine into Elucidate into Mechanta Warbeast, bringing any of those back would be a pain in the ass.
Imagine if you bring back the Elucidator, you don't cop the upfront damage and it's a 5 damage rush minion. Far out, that's insane.
Yeah, fucking hell, yeah. But yeah, now Keeper of the Vale was cool. I really liked it. I wish there was some lore on that card, to be honest. I want to know what the Vale lore is and how it dragged and got them all out. But yeah. It was a strong card that I used a lot. I didn't really use it in Abyssian because they used a lot of weaker units, but when it came to like my Lionars and my Magmas and stuff like that, I used it a fair bit. Even Vanna was not too bad at it. But yeah, that was my pick. I liked it a lot.
Alright, let's go with... Oh, I forgot about him too. Damn. You scroll and find someone and then you find something else and you're like, oh shit, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with Sworn Sister Alkian. So there was a particular patch that brought in the Sworn Sisters for all the races, and then there was a neutral one, and the neutral one was probably my favorite. Depending on the deck you're playing, you know, it always comes down to.
Is that how you pronounce the name, Lucilian?
Alkian. Oh no, Alkian. Oh,
yeah.
No. Correct us in the comments when this posts up. Yeah. So this was probably by far my favorite one. And look, you know, RNG dependent, but your opening gambit, you're getting 2 random cards from your faction. So overall, your faction cards are going to be a little bit better than the neutrals on any given day. But what this also comes with is, you know, you think people are, especially in Duelyst, you know, you know what kind of deck you're playing. You know, if you're a Abyssian, you're either playing Wraithlings or you're playing Shadow Creeps. You know, and vice versa through all of them. You know, and there's definitely specific deck archetypes. Sworn Sister just can throw a weird wrench in the mix, where all of a sudden you've got a tool that's not part of your kit, but could probably work really well just to throw shit out of the mix. And it was really good, especially my Reaver deck, with my Heartseeker Deathstrike Seal deck, where all of a sudden I'd get a couple of cards that weren't expected. And they could range from anything from like the 1 damage draw a card one that gets rarely played, but all of a sudden appeared in my deck and I could use it, and it's just like a free draw, and 1 damage killed something. To getting another the tornado card, I can't remember what it was called, or the heaven thing where you draw 3 spells, or
that.
3 Lantern Fox. It was
units as well, wasn't it?
It was 2 random cards, random. So they don't even have to be in your deck. They're just random faction cards, which just could do anything. But especially during the phase that we were playing in, where in terms of card draw was limited.
Yeah.
And if you start burning through your stuff, it was a replenish mechanism, random replenish mechanism. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes you get some weird shit, but usually it was worth it just to get that additional card draw out of the blue. You might get some different tools. And it was just really good. And for 4 mana, it's a 2/4 body. So it's not dying easily. It's probably not going to eat the spells and stuff. It might eat some removal if people just want to get rid of it. But you're getting its benefit up front, and there's the 2/4 stats. If it sticks around, it's going to kill some of the lower minions. Does its job.
The only removal I could think of is Chronogenesis that removes it in 1 hit, because most removal in the game is like 3 mana or less.
Yeah.
So it does survive pretty decently.
I just think the fact, if that was 4/2 stats, it'd probably be like, but I think the way it is, it really, really good. Loved it. I had it in a lot of my decks just to help with resource replenishment, especially when you get to a point in the game where you have to chuck a lot of stuff out, and then all of a sudden your decks your hands looking a bit bare, and just some of the random stuff you get sometimes could just really pay off in a weird way that would just be like, it's just really good.
So the two things this is the randomness that I like, in that there are a lot of cards that are good but not good enough to be in a deck, so they never get used. And one way of getting them used is getting them through cards like this. So it's like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, this is nice, and you can some things you will never put into a deck. When you deck build, you'll never pick, but you're happy to use them in the game because the situation may come up. An example might be what's a good example? There's a lot of Vitruvian shit, which was give all minions +3 health. You might not use that for your deck because it might be more of a win more card. But then if you got it for free, you're more than happy to have it. But also, if you got something shit, you can still just replace it using the replace mechanic and keep your other more useful cards.
That,
So it's also replace fodder as well if you really need it to. I'm very tempted.
I actually forgot about that. That's actually a really good point.
And I believe you got this card for free. Saying here, looks like you just need to get a full set of 6 different rares. So pretty easy.
It just appeared in our things pretty quickly, so it was good. Really good card. Loved her. She was my favourite Sworn Sister. Not yours, but it was definitely mine.
Oh yeah.
Not that there was much of a challenge. I think there was only 1 or 2 that was really good, and the rest were garbage and hard to use.
Lakian. So.
But we can discuss that when we go into each faction.
Well, from memory, two of them ended up getting nerfed from the other factions. So yeah, I don't think any of the others got buffs. So yeah, 2 of them received nerfs, Abyssians and Magmas. But yeah, this guy.
They were the only two I could think of that were really good.
Yeah, I tried to make the others work. That's the best I could think of.
Yeah, the liner one I just remember being fucking atrocious.
No, the liner one was good. That was one that one I could actually make work.
Oh, really? What was one I was thinking of? Anyway, we'll look over it when we go into each faction.
Probably the biggest one's the Vano one. Fuck, that the best looking one, and that was garbage. Set the Owlbeast Sage. Oh boy.
Yeah, I thought you might go on that one.
Back when they started really promoting Arcanist decks, this guy was like the cornerstone. I think he's always been around, and he was always good. But he's one of those things where once you add tribal support, then he really took off. So whenever you casted a spell, your Arcanist minions would gain +2 health. And even your Bloodborne power,
insane.
which was 1 mana, would activate this. So all of a sudden, you could play this guy on turn 5, and he'd be a 4/6. Any other Arcanists on the field, boom, +2 health to all of them. There you go. Divine Bond will include a 2+ health boost before applying the attack. So Owlbeast plus Divine Bond is a 10/6 owl.
Oh, God.
And if we look up all the Arcanist minions, I'm pretty sure the ones that matter the most is... Where is he? Let's go all the way down. All of a sudden, your 2-mana Mana Forger is now a 1/5. Your Moebius is now a 3/7. This is the guy. If you got Prismatic Illusionist out with him, all of a sudden, I think your illusions were also Arcanists, weren't they?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
They are. So now every time you cast a spell, you created an illusion, and all these illusions would be 2/3s.
Oh, God.
And even if it was just the Owlbeast out on the field, he's tough to remove. He's a 4/4. No, he won't be a 4/4. You've got to make him a 4/6.
It's a 4/4, but if you play an instant spell, then you'll...
Yeah, and you pretty much... Just leaving him on low health is not enough, because getting more health is just the equivalent of almost healing itself. It was insane how good this... And the thing was, since it was an Arcanist theme, it could go into so many decks. Like, you could put this into a Songhai, Liner. I played it personally in Abyssian. This card was crazy. It was just... And like I said, that 4 damage removes so much stuff in the game.
I think Vanna was the big Alchemist team
They
builder,
could do it as well, yeah. Let's go back to Alchemist.
Was it just spells, or did it include the hero power?
The hero power as well. And it's not as if the... okay, let's have a look at our good friend... Where is Vanna's? Well, Vanna had the Kindred Hunt. Oh, shit, they have the Kindred Hunter. And this... the Circulus, that's right. This motherfucker. Whenever you cast a spell, add a 2/1 illusion to your action bar. So all of a sudden, that 1/1 is now a 1/3. So all those pings that we're talking about, they don't work against Owlbeast Sage. Your entire army just becomes so much tankier, and it requires... Yeah, you pretty much have to dispel this guy. And even if you dispel him, he's still 4 damage. He's still going to hurt. And he's only 4 mana.
He's still a 4/4 for 4 mana. He's going to instantly get a dispel from somewhere. There was no shadow of a doubt that if you saw this was dispel target number 1, or you just got to kill quickly. Yeah,
like let's say you got Prismatic Illusionist out and Owlbeast Sage. I don't know why you'd leave let's say you couldn't remove the Prismatic. All the Arcanists are all pretty powerful as well. So even if you dispel this guy, you still got the other Arcanists doing their work. That Prismatic Illusionist is still going to create illusions, and he's still going to be tankier. Dispelling this guy doesn't remove all the health that he's given everyone else. Now, he was sweet. Where's his attack? Yeah, he's a cool looking unit. Attack's pretty average, but yeah.
He just stabs his... Oh, there it is. He just stabs his...
Not the best animations compared to some of them that we've seen, but he still looks cool. He was cool. I liked him. I liked him a lot. But yeah, he was good for he was great. But once they added more Arcanist cards in their tribal synergy, he really took off on his own. him and another blue card. I won't have him on my list, but yeah, Arcanist he was one of the huge reasons why Arcanist took off, though. Well, late. It's Brandy's turn.
I'm just looking which one I'm going to go with next.
Only $1,300.
Let's go with Grincher.
I didn't put him on my list because I thought you might cover him.
Yeah, I mean, look, again,
this fucker.
if you're talking about value cards, and even with RNG aspects to it, but this was a very nice unit to have. So you got a 5 mana 5/4, which is it's all right. 4 mana is probably a bit low, but it's where its opening gambit is. But add a random artifact to your action bar, it costs 3 less.
That's pretty nuts.
So, in some cases, you could get a weapon for free and play it for 0 mana. The artifacts they were mostly weapons, or they were like certain boosts to your attack or something like that. It was like I'm talking the Grimoire, which sort of gains stats, and it gains stats passively on your hero, but you get 3 charges out of it. It's but look, I mean, this thing could change a game at a moment's notice. Like, play this, all of a sudden your hero gets a weapon. At minimum, it's changing your attack from 2 to 4 with some hidden ability on a lot of them. I bet the best one I reckon was the one where I got the Abyssian weapon, which
Chaos
is the one
Blade. I think you did it to me. I think.
Yeah,
Oh my god. What's with all your random bullshit? Oh my fucking god, are you serious?
Gods.
You're at one cold notch.
Am I
Fuck
not
this
seeing
shit.
it? How is it not cold if it's on one cold notch?
I see.
It removed a 4 health minion, healed me for 2 health, but it was just that removal just to sort of peg the game back because I was getting swarmed. And you're putting out a 5/4 body that needs to be dealt with, because 5 damage, can fuck a lot of things up.
Yeah.
It was just really it wasn't in a lot of decks because it's very definition RNG, but you can get some pretty nice artifacts out of it, and
Yeah.
even if you have to pay a small cost, you might pay 2 mana for essentially what is a 5 mana artifact.
It's interesting that I always thought this card was really strong, but according to this, they actually buffed it. So the cost of the artifact.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it used to only reduce the cost of the artifact by 2. So they boosted that.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that.
There you go.
These guys are fucking just for that attack animation alone. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, jeez. That's insane.
Yeah, when I edit this, I'm going to have to fucking zoom in on this just to make that a bit bigger. But yeah. But yeah, he was cool. Like, it's funny that I know that everyone gives shit to Hearthstone for being random as shit, but when I think about the reasons why I stopped playing, randomness wasn't the biggest reason why I quit playing. Actually, when you look back at a lot of the shit decks that were there, they weren't really random. They were just fucking bullshit to play against. And also, I main Priest, and Priest was in the garbage tier back then. But yeah, like, small amounts of RNG, like this, yeah, could change the game, but at the end of the day, you know what you're getting with this. You're getting a weapon, and you're still paying 5 mana, but 5 mana isn't cheap. Like, it's it's a significant cost that you're putting out there. You're putting in a weirdly statted unit that's pretty prone to dying fairly easy when you compare it to other 5. But like, if you compare it to Dancing Blades, 4/6 stats. The Dancing Blade sticks around a lot. Yeah, that Dancing Blades will trade with this, but you still got that weapon though. So
yeah, it's the weapons where the trade-off is, and being able to put it on the same turn to give your hero at minimum +2 attack with an additional benefit, or even more. Like, if you're playing on turn 8 and you can afford one of maybe the higher ones, sky's the limit. But it also you're playing a body and you're getting something refreshed back into your inventory, and if it's a shit weapon, you could just rotate back in the deck to get something else. that kind of stuff also is helpful, especially when the game is not you're not on your knees and you're trying to balance everything out in terms of resource play and resource usage and stuff like that. So that works. I liked it.
He was cool. That was good. I used it quite a bit. But yeah, like I said, not every deck could use it. Like, obviously, your deck would have to be more focused around your general getting in there. If you're a control deck, I wouldn't be playing it. But if you're like an aggressive deck, like Vale could use it pretty well, or even Truvian.
Vale and Retruvian, I think, yeah, especially with those heavy weapon already type builds.
Alrighty. So, a card that this card gets it for fucking artwork alone. But this card is basically the Ysera of Duelyst, but not as good.
Oh, I had to sort of drop her from my list.
I know, it's a tough one, isn't it?
That was the first legendary that I got, actually, and so I was using her a lot.
I used her a fair bit, and she's good. If you get her in Gauntlet, yeah, you're gonna have a good time. She's fucking amazing in Gauntlet, but she's one of those ones where she's a little bit what's the word for it? Like, she's very vulnerable to Dispel, but at least you get like a 3/3 wolf out of it. And a 3/10's nothing to scoff at either.
Well,
so,
you're essentially going to get at minimum 2 units of with total stats of 6/13.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest control minions because you don't win at the turn you get it down, but you slowly build it up. So what you get, she can summon a random wolf. They're 3/3, so that's still pretty good. So you're trading up to about 3 mana creatures. So pretty good. So you got a ranged wolf, a provoke wolf, a Frenzy's the worst one, flying wolf, and celerity. So out of all these, I would say you want ranged, provoke, and flying are your 3 big ones. And
provoke for the stall, range. Even the celerity one, like especially if there's like, you're playing against someone with a lot of like, low health and attack minions, you could start chipping away at it pretty quickly with that.
But yeah, look, balance changes. So it used to be 6 mana, then they reduced its health by 3, and then they buffed it back up and then put it cost to 7. Alright, you don't mind if I go to the bathroom quickly, Brownie?
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
I'll be right back. Oh, there's a wall here. Yeah, here we are. I just love all her animations as well, with all the flying like spirits flying around her and her attacks and everything. So she's one of the more visually stunning units in the game. She was really cool. Like you didn't see her much, but you didn't see much in big decks towards the end of the game, but in Gauntlet she's still strong.
Yeah, this is the first legendary I actually got, so I used to use her a lot.
Lucky.
And yeah, late game, when the spell was really dying down, didn't matter if you were getting moved around or anything like that. She was either taking one big fucking kill spell, or she was just gonna stick around, just produce fucking wolves for days.
Yeah.
And if she did stick around, the opponent was in a world of pain.
Yeah.
Really good. Well, I liked her.
Well, do you know what my first legendary was?
What was? He just looked great.
I found him. This is my first legendary, Brownie.
Who was it?
Merkblood Devourer.
Oh my god.
I'm guessing you could use it, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend that for new players. Alright, so Purgatos. Now talk about cool looking cards that no one ever played.
This was it. And I did a couple of decks where I actually got to use him. And if you actually got to use him, it's actually quite interesting,
How random is this dude though? So wait, it's either, so you don't know which one.
Yep, 50-50 chance you're either dealing 3 damage to enemy general or restoring 3L to you.
Oh wow. And he got buffed as well.
I just love the look of him, and I just love the day-to-day thing of what he can do. Just was really interesting. I had him on I used to use him in the Linar Hill deck before it had way too many options. But it was just really cool because, I mean, you know, in those decks, there's a lot of targets to dispel. So if you got this in and they didn't have any dispeller, well, then you could have a bit of fun because you're either getting the heal proc off and then getting all the liner benefits out of it, or you're just doing 3 damage to the fucking to the general's face, which is really cool. And yeah, it was just really cool, very niche, but yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of these champions that cards that, you know, that they get played and they're dealt with pretty quickly just because other people just don't want to deal with it. And yeah, if they're the kind of cards that they're not the best, but if they're given leg room, they can really hurt. I have
been fucked over by this card, to be fair.
Good in Gauntlet when there's less spells and stuff like that. So, and yeah, he's a little bit more sticky. But yeah, I loved him. He's just cool. He just stuck out. He was the kind of card that you just saw and you're just like, I want to find a way to be able to use him.
Yeah, it's pretty much I don't know if I spelt that right. Yeah, it's pretty much how I felt. He was always a card of, wow, that card looks cool. Moving on. I couldn't find it. Yeah, he was a bit out of my realm for getting into decks. He would always look cool. I'll give him that. Fucking Zenoga. When this guy first came out, he was a 4/5. Holy shit. So basically no removal could trade evenly with this guy.
Oh, Thunderhorn. I thought you said Zenoga. I'm like looking at Z. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It is literally fucking Zenoga.
Yeah, but we're going by the name, not by what it looks like.
Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, actually, this was on my list, so good. You finally ticked off one.
Yeah, so this card was ridiculous. Like, you couldn't trade well with this. They had to reduce it to a 4/4, and this card's still fucking strong.
This is insane.
One thing that I like most in this is when they use the board and have positioning and stuff. So like Dancing Blades and Dust Whaler and stuff. Because there were a lot of cards in the game that just ignored the board state, and it was just And there were also complaints that like, oh, these cards are not using the board. There's no positioning required for anything. They're just strong on their own. And yeah, so when you got cards like this, he was awesome. So basically, it'd hit a minion, and if any minion was adjacent, they would also be hit. So it would cause
and that Congo line could go as far as it needed to.
Yeah. So it would force the opponent to like spread out their units and play right. But then that's when you can do cool stuff like use a Half Sister or Demonic Lure or Repulsor Beast to move minions around to form a conga line so you can whack them.
Well, I mean, look, the biggest thing that people do in their Duelyst games is like, you know, you're doing a lot of walls with provokes and stuff like that, you know, as part of sort of basic defensive setups. And this would just be like, okay, I see your defensive setup, and I'm going to hit them all for 4 damage. Because you just because you haven't got a space in it. Yeah, and there's good reasons sometimes, especially with like, if you're playing liner, you've got certain characters that require to be near the hero. So, you've got them all stacking next to each other, and then you've got all their provoke, and and walling's part of it. To be able to contain and reduce the amount of room the opponent can maneuver. So this is just basically like, okay, this is the one thing that you've got on your tool. If people start doing that, and you can just go bang, clear it out, and it makes them think about, oh shit, what I need to change something up here because it's going to hurt or kill it. But there was, I think, was it? Does Vanna have a reactivation ability or something like that where it can play on the same turn?
I think so, maybe. The other one is Vanna had a card which was a removal card that would turn any unit into a battle pet. Battle pets move and attack on their own. So what you could do is turn a unit into a battle pet, put a Thunderhorn next to it, and then it will attack the Thunderhorn and just fuck everyone over on their turn, and there was nothing they could do about it. And it says here that if it's got Frenzy, it'll actually activate multiple times. So if it hits 3 units at once, it'll do that 3 damage 3 times. Which,
oh god.
So yeah, it was a really cool card. It really did reward some good. It rewarded players that were able to like space out their units to protect their shit, and it also rewarded people that were able to build decks to like take advantage of of that attack. It was sweet. I love this card, and it's cool animations as well. Oh my god!
You know what? That was worth it. That was fucking worth it. I didn't even need that.
Oh fuck, that was dumb. I didn't realise how connected I was.
Oh, the fucking thunderous charge! Oh, thank you, Emplar. Repulsor Beast.
I'm glad you brought him up because he barely missed the cut for me. It's funny you bring him up after we're talking about fucking Thunderhorn.
I know. So again, we're coming back to the board, and you know you've got abilities to kill, you've got abilities to dispel, and then you've got this lovely unit which I think most people ran in most decks.
Yeah.
Which basically is, I'm just going to move your unit. Now, it sounds a bit weird, move your unit, but when you think of the board, you can move it from one end of a board all the way to the other, and then it takes about 3 or 4 turns to even get back into the actual battle to be of use. So, essentially, you could take a 6-mana minion, put it on the other side of the board, and it's useless for 3 turns, and then you might have something to actually deal with it. Then, underrated, really useful thing, and it's a 2/2 body. I mean, it used to be 2 mana. I can't believe it used to be 2 mana.
It was a 1/1.
2 mana, 1/1. But then it got its stats raised, cost raised to 3, and gave it to 2/2. So even like 3 mana, 2/2, it's still a 2/2 body. And it's not dealing with something; it's just removing something away for a while. It's one of those, I'll deal with you later. You can play it early, because it just removes. You can take that Healing Mystic and just put it away on the other side of the board. It's not your problem for a while, and it just gives you a bit more scope around the hero versus hero battle in whichever part of the board it is. Or you just save it for late game when someone's thrown out their big Iron Cliff Guardian. It's like, yep, okay, you'll go to the other side of the board. You're not a threat anymore. really versatile. That's just one of those underrated mechanics that, because of how the board works, it's really useful.
Yeah, no, he was cool. Nah, not much for that. He was basically demonic lure on 4 legs. This card was sweet. I used him a fair bit. Like even when I was playing in Diamond, there were still decks that used this card. And
it's
you took this guy 100% in Gauntlet because you were never guaranteed removal, and you'd get someone who was like say your Primus Shield bearer, 3/6 would provoke, and you'd be like, well, fuck off. You put him somewhere, and he's not doing anything. Like even if he gets back into the fight, he's not going to be in a good position to provoke anything of value. Or chances are he's going to have,
and it's going to be 3 turns later, so you're going to have something that might be
big. He's going to look down some.
And it just gave you initiative, especially around the opposing hero. Remove one of the threats. Remove provoke around. That was probably limiting what you could do. Just really good unit.
You could also use it to hit a minion that was like protected and move it so you can attack it as well. There's nothing stopping you from getting rid of stuff. You can bring stuff closer to you.
Yeah, that's true. Or you can just do what you did then, which was to move something, so your Thunderhorn could get rid of 4 units.
Yeah.
It had lots of utility, and it just it was one of those cards where here's the board, you can play around the board with this unit.
Yeah. No, he was what? Yeah, he was good. He was still used. He was still used later on. Because yeah, your general it's still 2 damage. Your general, it still trade decently. Like I said, general can kill it. But that's 2 damage. Most 2 mana units can attack it, and you can still ping it off. And if you leave it there, who knows? Maybe you'll buff the shit out of it. you got to be wary of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're removing a 5 mana minion and then the heroes are killing it, it's done its job.
Yeah, like 9 times out of 10, you don't care. No,
it's done 2 damage to the hero and remove something that you don't have to worry about for 3 turns.
Yeah,
call it a day.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. I'm probably going to have to edit some of these clips in because I can't be bothered looking for them.
That's alright. That's part of your editing team, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Repulsor Beast.
Oh, it's Beast. Why do I keep thinking it's a dog?
I hate it with a passion. Oh god, then it's got to be good.
Well, it's not good, but when we talk about deck building, none other. The White Widow herself.
Oh no. I like it. I only hate her when it's in those specific decks that you get and you've got everything.
So Duelyst, probably the best feature of Duelyst is a feature called Replace. So you can take any card, put it back into your deck, and you'll get a card of a different mana value. So basically think Magic the Gathering scrying, but not quite as good. But still, the fact is it was free and you can do it every turn. So when they added cards that reacted with replace mechanics, I always tried to make them work. And so this card was always the cornerstone of it. So what was good is that this card is basically a great card to build a deck around. So I had Ether Masters, which gave me an additional replace. And then I added, what else did I add? I added Invol Blue or whatever his name was to replace everything in my hand. And so this thing would just randomly just ping away at everything. So getting randomly dealing 2 damage multiple times across the turn, you could wipe out an entire board or deal a ton of damage. And it was really sweet. But even
the most infamous memory I have of that is I was playing as Vanna and you had that deck. And I played a card which gave me 4 minions. It was 2 heart chasers, a snow chaser, and some 1/4 flying thing. And your next turn, your White Widow killed all 4 of them. I didn't have 1 card left over.
Yeah, if I could find
it was ridiculous.
But the thing was, other than replace decks, this card was ridiculously strong in general as well, in Gauntlet. Oh, what the fuck?
Gauntlet was a must-have.
Yeah, I'll see what. But yeah, because a 3/4 is nothing to sneeze at either. But
you're always replacing. So if you have this safe, it's just pinging for 2 damage, every turn. And as soon as they get removal, they're using it on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. And then you play something else that's a bit more threatening.
Yeah, that card was sweet. It was one of my favorites.
Oh, I'm gonna mill 2 fucking snow chasers here, aren't I?
Oh, is that it? Oh, fuck. Oh, I can take your general now.
Can't even have one, can I? Can't even have one. Can't even have one fucking minion.
But I had a lot of good memories of that card.
Let's do this one. This is just a nice little random one. Golden Mantella.
Oh, I was thinking about that guy. He was cool. Golden Mandela. Alright.
So in the lovely pets patch, they included this guy, a giant frog. But he was, I loved it. Again, I've said it a couple of times with a couple of the cards that I've picked. The resource generation, even though it's a pet, but some of the pets actually weren't too bad. And the funniest thing about whatever you generate, the opponent most times has to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part about it. It's like, you can say, oh, pet, oh, crap, or whatever, but it's still a body. They're cheap, and they have to be dealt with. Otherwise, they can cause carnage. And actually, I'm looking at the pets that this thing generates, and none of these. Other than Rock, which was just a
there was nothing wrong with Rock. That thing did damage.
Well, I suppose actually that was good just in blocking, and that was about it. But like all these are pretty statted. Like
the battle pets were overstatted to make up for the fact that you couldn't actually control them.
But if you look at these, like most of these are like there's 3/3s in this. There's a 2/3 flying. There's a 1/1 force field, 1/1 with a dying.
That 1/1 force field was the fucking worst.
Yeah,
that was so annoying to deal with.
And then he had the 2/5 with celerity. So these aren't exactly, really, really bad. These are actually like half decent units.
Uro's garbage.
Your opponent has to deal with. Yeah, because flying, it will just fly straight into the first thing it sees anyway.
Good animations on this frog as well.
But like the other parts are just its stats. So it's a 3 mana with 4/2. So
that's tough to take out.
At 2 mana, you can take it out quite easily. But something's dying or copping a lot of damage on the rebound, or you're burning stuff like chromatic cold.
Oh, you're not chromatic colding that. Surely not.
Does chromatic cold do 2 damage?
It used to. It doesn't anymore. But,
it doesn't. Yeah, that's true. Back in the old days.
If someone used chromatic cold on this, I'd piss myself laughing.
Exactly. But like it's the 4 damage that's the real. Like if you've got a lot of wraithlings, well then you're going to kill it nice and easily. But if you don't, something's hurting to take this thing out.
Like I said, it makes good replace fodder.
But even just getting that additional body out with some stats, like just to fill the board, make it a bit more chaotic. And it's that chaos factor of there's a battle pet. Okay, you're either going to ignore it and it's going to do something random because you don't know what the hell it's going to do. I mean, you can predict it probably to a degree, but it still could do something weird. It could probably do all of a sudden randomly just fuck up your entire play. So you have to deal with it.
Yeah. It was good in Gauntlet because there's no guarantee that you could deal with the battle pet that he puts down. Because it's one thing to lose your minions to a 4/2. It's another for him to put down like a 3/3 kin and have to deal with that as well.
Yeah. So I liked him. I liked him. Used them a bit, especially in like the in my more RNG and resource fodder pump out type decks. Just because it was just really useful, and you could set him up where he could really do maximum damage with the 4 damage. A hero's going home with a busted leg if it tries to just take it on and just get rid of it himself if it's got no other options. So really good, loved him.
Yeah, he was cool. I'm gonna look that up now. What is a Mantella?
Whatever it is.
Let's look it up. Mantella. Yeah, it is actually a frog. Golden frogs or poison frogs. There you go.
Well, we learned something tonight.
Yeah. Evil frog. This is my favourite unit, neutral unit, although I'm going to have to add one more after this. And he's been a mainstay since the beginning of the game, actually. Healing Mystic.
Oh, that wasn't the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Healing Mystic.
This thing was cool.
I was going to put it as a honorable mention for me, actually. Even though it's probably in every deck, but it was still just like, I've just got to use it.
So when you first started the game, I think the holy trinity of 2-drops was Healing Mystic, Primus, True Fist, and what else? Maybe Jaxi? I don't know if there was another one, but yeah, it was those.
And then also your Repulsor Beast, Ethereal Shrouds.
So this guy stood the test of time and is in most lists, although Azure Herald a little bit of diversity off him, so that's good. So you can either have a 2/3 or 1/4 that heals only your hero. But this thing was amazing. Not only does it is really unique looking to the fact it has its own emotes in the game, its stat line is perfect for a 2/3. You play it turn 1, and you don't mind that you're wasting the healing because it's still got a good body because it's cheap enough. But then you could attack with your hero, heal your hero. You could attack with another minion and heal that minion. So this thing heals off an entire general's attack. It heals off most damage from early game units. It can survive a general's attack, which is really handy. And even late game, it's really sweet for either healing your own units or healing your general if you're against a burn deck. If you're playing like Healer, who needs healing to activate the effects, Healing Mystic's amazing. Now, this card was so fucking good. Yeah, look at the description of this.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I just agree. Yeah, I mean, look,
Arguably be better than Skyrock Golem. Unlike Skyrock, Healing Mystic doesn't die to a general's normal attack.
Oh, because the Skyrock's 3/2, I think. So, yeah, I mean...
And cool animations as well.
I mean, if you got this early game, you were going to have a good game. That was essentially what it was going to be.
But you never felt that it was a bad draw. Like, even late game, if you got it, you weren't disappointed.
Yeah. But you know, when we were talking about Bloodtear Alchemist at the start, you know, it was about, you know, Healing Mystics, 2/3, and you know it can survive a hero's attack without, you know, non-weapon attack, and then it's stuck there as a 2/1. And if, you know, God forbid the person drew 2 or 3 Healing Mystics in the starting hand, you know,
you never have anything killed.
Your first 3 turns, you're gonna end up with like 2 or 3 units still on the board, just fucking, you know, just doing stuff. And the early trades with the hero can be negated through this. So, you know, if your hero's got to take out a 2L thing, and then, you know, it's copped a bit of damage, heal back up. All of a sudden, it's just like, okay, that's cool. That's just part of the cause. That's why this thing was so useful. It just meant that your hero could start getting control of the board without fear of losing too much health in the start of the game, because the Healing Mystic could just shrug it off a little bit. But the fact that you can heal other minions, but just the fact that it's a 2-mana 2/3. That's where the core part of this unit lies. It's just the stats are just really good, really balanced. You know, it's taking most stuff that's 2 mana out itself.
Yeah, now it was sweet. It's probably what. Yeah, it's just funny how this minion just maintained the test of time, didn't it? In the end. Yay! Healing Mystic emotes. It's funny how we mentioned one thing off each of our lists. I wonder, so what are you going to replace yours with?
Go with... Ooh. There's a couple here, but you know what? I'm going to go with Bonereaper. I think as a card, I think I've got the most value.
I love that card. Yeah, that's also really cool.
This was just a lovely card, and you know, especially with you know, I'm playing against Mark all the time, so I'm come up a lots of Wraithlings and low cost bullshit spam swarm stuff, but even just in other stuff generally, Bonereaper was really good. 6 mana, 2/9. With Provoke, and at the end of your turn, you deal 2 damage to all nearby enemy minions.
You look at this. How is this not an Abyssian unit? This thing is the most evil-looking thing I've ever seen.
And this was just great. Like, you could set up kills for this thing, so at the end of your turn, it just does a clean house thing. The Provoke means that stuff ain't getting out of the way. You know, it's gonna copper dispel, so you want to make sure you set it up when you put it out to do the damage. But even if you hit like 3 things, that's 6 damage that's gone out. You know, might kill 1 or 2 things, damage a third. Then you got to provoke 2/9, and even if it gets dispelled, it's still a 2/9. Like it's still gonna cop it a fair bit and still dish out some damage. And it also has probably the weirdest fucking attack.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
thing
Yeah,
ever. Doesn't its rib cage just open out and just go?
yeah, and
there?
spikes will come out of it. And then when it dies, it turns into a little black hole and disappears.
Yeah. Used to love him. I used to throw one in just randomly in some decks just so I had that sort of mid to late game body if I needed to do some clearing, especially on the back foot, because it meant like you could throw it out and help just sort of clear and do damage, cop some damage or dispels or whatever. Like, you know, people will just like, oh, it only does 2 attacks, so we'll just smash into it. But if it's dishing out 2 and then it's gonna cop and deal out some more damage, you know, it can end up doing a fair bit of you know, chip damage to help just ease the pain. Loved him, really good.
Yeah, this card is one of the cooler looking cards in the game. It's pretty sweet because, yeah, not only does it provoke, which means you can't move away from it, it also damages enemies straight away, which is pretty sweet. Like you said, if you got like low health minions, you can just kill them instantly. And it says here, the effect also procs stuff like Lionheart Blessing. So what does that do? Whenever this minion deals damage, draw a card. So you can buff it with stuff like that.
Oh
or
my
even
god!
give a Death Strike seal to instantly
Oh my god!
kill
I didn't
everything.
even realize you could put Death Strike Seal on it. Holy shit!
So the main reason that I never played this card is just the 2 health, unfortunately. So that meant that natural selection would fuck it over. And also, back when this card was around, is vulnerable. It still is, still vulnerable to Zenrui. And Zenrui used to be in every fucking deck for a long time. Which was, from memory, it was a mind control. Yeah, take control of a minion with 2 attack or less. That used to be. This minion used to take over 3 attack from memory.
Who knows? But
oh no, it was always 2 mana. So yeah, this thing take control to 2 attack or less.
2 or less attack.
So yeah, so this thing was always in the meta. So they end up having to nerf that creature, but it meant creatures like this, you're not going to spend 6 mana on something that could be taken over. Especially when you had like, what was it, Lantern Foxes with 2 mana. So there were always these strong 2 mana creatures that were prime targets for Zenrui. So yeah, having a 6 mana version of that was nasty. So yeah, that was the only reason it didn't get played. It was mainly for the natural selections and the Zenrui's taking care of it. But other than that, to be fair, a lot of my decks would probably be fucked over by it. Probably I would have to demonic. If I was a Abyssian, I'd be demonic luring the shit out of this.
Okay.
But yeah, that was cool minion. I liked it a lot. Alright.
Oh, well, your last one, mate.
Last one. Fuck. Should I go through my honorable mentions and just pick one of them?
I'll do honorable mentions after this, if you want.
Yeah. Well, I should probably just... Let's pick a card that I always... do I pick a card that I really like? Just looking through all of these. The Spelljammer.
Oh yeah, you love playing Spelljammer.
This card was legit. So when this card first came out, this was probably the worst card in the game when it was first released. Because what it used to do, if it says here, players draw only 1 card at the end of their turn. So you'd play the card, you used to draw at the end of your turn. So what happened was you'd play it, fuck yourself over, and then your opponent would kill it, and you're down 1 card. So yeah, this card was just... I don't know why they thought it was a good idea when they first introduced it, to have a card that literally hurt you before it hurt your opponent. But then when they did the change...
Oh, that was back... Yeah, that was back when we...
It was 2-draw.
It was 2-draw, yeah.
But then, yeah, that was ridiculous. And then, yeah, when they changed from 2-draw to 1-draw, then, yeah, kind of it didn't really matter. They had to change this creature. So it went from reducing card draw to increasing it. So I don't know why it's still called Spelljammer then. That kind of doesn't make sense.
You sort of can't change the name.
So, yeah, now each player draws an additional card. So this card was really sweet. because you'd play it, and it's tanky enough to survive most removals. You could remove any creature that was like 3 mana or less, so it was pretty good at removing stuff. But you draw an extra card at the end of your turn, and now your opponent is, do I remove this 3/5 creature, or do I keep it around and draw an extra card for myself? So there was a really cool that it was like a card that could either be a real big benefit or not. And if you're, let's say, Magma with Starhorn, you may want to kill this thing quickly because your hand will just be filled with cards and you're just going to die too quick. But yeah, this card was sweet. I like that. I like the duality of this card where it forces your opponent where having a card where you actually may want to keep your opponent. You may want your opponent to keep it on the battlefield is quite interesting. But you didn't use it, did you?
I didn't use it a lot, no. Yeah, here and there, useful for your decks that you're going to empty out a lot, so you could replenish. Yeah, it was alright.
Right.
I didn't mind if opponents played it and I just kept it up. Because they didn't really especially with some, they wouldn't use it threateningly, so you just get the draw as well. So it's just like, okay, well it's still based on whose deck is gonna still do alright. And with mine, they're not like I'm gonna get heavily loaded. I can still empty and stuff. So and so it still comes down to who's still got the better thing, and then all of a sudden they just realize, and all of a sudden they just start trying to sack it. And
yeah, that's why it was good. You couldn't just play this card willy nilly. This card actually requires some thought to it. Like you said, you could just keep that card around and just benefit off it the entire time. If they just put it on the field and don't use it to attack or anything, all of a sudden it's just giving it's just doing nothing. It's giving both. Actually, it's downside. If you're not using this to attack, then yeah, you're drawing an extra card, but then your opponent is, and you didn't have to waste a turn casting it.
Yeah, so that was the funny part about it.
Yeah, cool tack animation as well.
That's not a bad list. So honourable mentions, huh?
All right, should I go? So I won't go into detail on these just because they're only honourable mentions. So mine are, first of all, Chakram. For being, he was a really cool unit. Oh, actually, I'm not going to go too much detail. Basically, really good in Gauntlet. Really cool. Loved his animations and stuff.
I forgot about him, yeah.
He was cool. The Mechazor killer himself, Crossbones, with the ability to instantly kill any ranged minions. Fuck, he could have made the list, to be honest. He was so close.
He was a cool looking unit too.
Yeah.
The Mechazor killer, especially when Mechazor was in his prime too. But I hardly used Crossbones because it just wasn't a point sometimes.
I used it all the time. I used it all the time. I had Deathstrike Steel Heartseekers, so that was my Mechazor counter. Cryptographer, another cool card that I liked.
Oh yeah, for you. Goddamn Wraithling Swarm.
He was sweet.
When you get those perfect starters where there's all of a sudden like 4 Wraithlings, a Gloom Chaser, and a Calligrapher out. Oh, that was disgusting.
This card was very unlucky not to make the list either. Dialtus,
yeah. I had him. I had him somewhere as well.
Somehow having a tombstone that's capable of moving and attacking. God, fucking cool looking unit.
He'd be cool. He'd be cool if your keeper of the Grove brought him back too.
Yeah. Ruby Rifter, a card that I wish I could actually use properly, but as said, I couldn't. This is a card I could very rarely get to work.
Yeah.
Cool looking unit though. Bam! Jeez, look at that attack animation. As I said, some of these has got the best animations. Trinity Ring. Another one of the Arcanist things. So it was either between him or Owlbeast, is which I liked more, but this guy was cool. With the 3 and lastly, I didn't realise, I thought this guy was an Abyssing card, but Sarlacc the Eternal.
I had him on mine as an honourable mention.
What a fucking hilarious unit. What were yours?
So my honorable mentions: Ephemeral Shroud.
Oh, Ethereal.
Ethereal, yep. Sorry.
Actually, that was probably the Holy Trinity. I think it was Ethereal, Shroud, Mystic, and Jax's Prime Fist. Yeah, just the spell. The spell was so strong in this game.
Yeah. So it was there.
Jesus Christ, look at the fucking strategy on this one.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Lower stats than Helm and Mechazor. Yeah, I don't think we care about that.
Alcuin Lawmaster.
Oh, this guy. What's he doing? Put a copy of the most recent. Yeah, he was pretty sweet. He was good in burn decks. He was a bit fucked.
Yeah. Just, use a Chromatic Cold, then throw him out just to get another one back.
Oh, yeah, that was
Really
such
good,
a cunt of a card.
Oh, yeah. Azure Herald.
Oh, yep.
Probably the more underrated healer, but it was still really good. Like a 1/4
I
body.
used him a lot. He was really sweet. He was in
Especially
most of my decks.
especially in offensive
Oh my
hero
god, what's his
decks.
attack animation? Holy shit. That is really good.
Also had the Emerald Rejuvenator.
That used to be a
before, especially before the nerf, it was like the big.
Yeah. Where was it? Yeah, it was 4/4, still 4. Stats changed to 3/3. Stats raised to 4/4 now to its both generals.
Yeah.
Oh, so it used to restore it to your general.
Yeah, it only used to restore to the person's general. So
Yeah,
it used to be really-
this card. This is when I say like the 4 health is such a big deal. Like, remember how we were saying like the Keeper of the Vale was a 4/5? Yeah, every deck had this fucking card in it. So, yeah, they had to change it. I like how it went down, and they said, "Oh fuck it, we'll just make it a 4/4." But so yeah, it's good for control decks, or if it burns really strong in the meta, it's also good.
And then the other ones were Firestarter.
Oh, this piece of shit. I guess an Arcanist. I don't know if I used him in my Arcanist decks. I may have.
I made him work a couple of times, and it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Rush, yeah, the spirits could attack straight away. Oh my god, that attack animation. To be honest, I don't think I ever saw anyone attack with that because you're too busy trying to keep him alive. Fucking hell.
You said Sarlacc, and then the other ones were Sojourner
Oh, yep. I remember him.
and Twilight Sorcerer.
I don't even know how to... Is Sojourner even a real word? So basically, if you didn't have Spelljammer, you played this card, basically.
Yep.
And this card has also a cool attack animation.
And he was really cool because people would be like, I don't want to dispel him, but I also don't want to attack him.
Yeah.
It was like one of those conundrum cards where it's like, I'm gonna have to use a resource on this thing, which was like a 1/5. It was hilarious.
Thank God for Zenrui to take him over.
And then I had Twilight Sorcerer. I think that was like one of the ones that I crafted because it was pretty good.
Wait, if it's who I think it is. Actually, I forgot. This is the other card that I forgot to mention. I only played him in my... I thought this guy was a Vitruvian card, but this card here, enemies can't count... If you had a golem on the field, its bond would activate. Enemies can't counterattack this turn. That was pretty fucking cool. I like this card. It had like a drill. Might have been of a Mega Man character. So silly. But yeah, so that's all them. How cool is it? So let's have a look at some of these units. 150 units in 2 minutes. You tell the early units, they don't quite have the attack animations as others. Oh wow, the Owlbeast actually have attack animations? Oh, whoa, I don't remember the fire-breathing one.
Probably because it died every time you poured it out.
Probably, yeah. Oh, Crystal Cron.
I left Inquisitor Tron out.
Yeah, Crystal Cron was okay. He was pretty good. Oh, the fucking Pokemon beetle. All the golems. Oh wow, that was all of them? That can't be all of them, but whatever.
No, it looks like it was just the base game.
And
Oh, well, there we go. That's part one of however many we do.
well now